God, it's so amazing because I started this deck project that I had no idea how I'd do it by myself because as you can see, it's high and there's a lot to it. But an old friend and his son just happened to visit and he's a pro carpenter. Friends came to visit and we're eating out, and there's the robot that waits on people. My friend Todd was a leader at the DTS. Hi guys, this is our beautiful house in Austin, Texas. Mary and I actually built this to sell while Abe was playing football here, and we just never got around to selling it because it's really nice to come down here in the winter. Today I'm building a deck out here. Just one of those things I never got around to finishing, and it's gonna have a killer view. Okay, it's 10:40 a.m. and I'm gonna see how many pieces of this decking I can get on in the next 2 hours. Well, after 2.5 hours of non-stop decking, here's what she looks like. Hey, it's pretty cool out here because it's really super high. I think you can almost see Lake Travis over there. I piled my decking material right here so I don't have to lift each piece up as I cut somewhere else. Yeah, it's kind of a mess, but I got a good wife to clean things up. Just cutting on the inside of the mark. You may notice I have 16-inch centers. With this stuff, because it's a little flimsy, you can't do the 2-foot centers like you can if you were using 2x8 decking. Then I just put it on there, and I make sure that the ends are equidistant. Now you might notice that there's a bigger gap in the middle. So what I do is I take this thing, which is really made for doing that fabricated flooring, and it's kind of painful on my wrist to constantly be trying to start each screw. So it just worked out good for me to do 2 and 1, 2 and 1, and it looks better that way. So here we got a 2, so I start them like this. It just saves a little time and wrist. And my big old Milwaukee drill, I inherited this from my father, who also taught me a lot of these skills. Now, the way you use this thing is you just step on it. I'm using these nails here for spacers. Step on it till it's about the right. And you just let off of the power on the drill at about the right time. And it sinks them down in there just about right. And the next thing is just keep everything pleasing to the eye. The most important thing is to keep everything pleasing to the eye. Look, Lester. Hey, come here, Lester.
No.
He's healthy.
Lester, come on. Inside. Lester.
So I just separate this a little bit. And I put my spacer in there. That way the spacing's just about right. And then I'll finish screwing it off. Next on my deck project is the railing. I looked into some really cool looking railing that had cables and everything, but after I priced it, it was $4,000 just for this tiny little deck. So I went and got some fencing material that's nicely spaced and looks pretty good. And I got it at Lowe's for $800. One of the keys of having things go together well is to get straight lumber. So I go in there in advance and I look down the boards and I pick out some straight lumber.
Here you go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
The next step is you cut it to length. I cut about that much off each side so that it would look pleasing to the eye. Then I take a little bit and I drill it so that the self-tapping screws go in a little bit easier. And we go ahead and do that before we put the post in place.
Mm-hmm.
Next, you have your wife get the wrench and pull it out. And it's useful to have an assistant because there's a lot of hacksawing in this job. And you need somebody to do some of this little stuff so you don't get weary in the arms. It's the details that separate a good looking deck or a good finish as a carpenter from one that's just kind of cobbled together. One of the details I did for this is get some black screws which go nicely in. You know, I could have used a number of things, but the black ones will look more professional. So then I tap the holes for them. And when the deck is 14 feet high, you got to take care of it to keep a clean table so that you don't. Okay, come back, Lester. Come back and supervise.
Supervisor.
Then after I've tapped these holes, I will just go ahead and okay. Now what I'm doing here to ease the assembly is I'm pre-drilling it, and then this is a self-tapping screw, and I've got a head like this that'll get it in there quite easily. You could try to use a socket set, but it would be a real hassle, so I use this. And then I have my wife take it out, and then that way it's really ready.
Don't worry, you're almost done. Yay!
There's a lot of hacks. I don't have my Sawzall here. It's in Montana.
Oh my God.
My faithful wife, Mary Jane, has been helping me so many times that she's a very good carpenter now. Where once there was nothing, now there's a beautiful deck with really an amazing view of the Texas Hill Country, and I can almost see the lake over there. And the railing, I thought it cost me $800, but I bought an extra section just in case. I'll be able to return that. So $700 for this nice steel railing that I really shouldn't have to worry about in the hot Texas sun and the elements. Special thanks to our God, my wife Mary, and especially to Todd and his son Ben, who came by unexpectedly to help us when I didn't know how I was going to get it up. Please help us get to 10,000 subscribers. We've been chipping away at this for years and we're getting close.